Did you know that setting up the structure of your office is very similar to potty training your children? Hello again, everybody. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. And I've received a request to go over how to set up an office, how to set up your business structure. That's what we're going to do today. I'm going to give you a blueprint for that. But to be candid with you, you already know how to do a lot of those things yourself because you've done it in other areas. Let's get started. All right. First rule is keep it simple. All right. Always, whenever you're doing anything in business, always refer back to the success formula. Remember, we talked about leadership being transposing the success formula from one person to the entire team. If you get them to create a vision, you get them to get to the starting line, you get the same rules apply when you're talking about a team as applies to an individual. So always go back to the success formula. Second thing that we're going to talk about today is, of course, potty training. What are the things that are necessary when you're potty training your child? Well, you need to have patience, you need to provide encouragement, and you need to applaud progress. All right, now we're going to talk about setting up an office in terms of when you know how to do everything. For example, when I was working with an insurance company, they sent me to a city to get an office starting from ground zero. Now, I already knew how to do all of the things that were necessary to get that office up and running. So as opposed to, and there's other scenarios as far as starting a business. One would be if you're starting as an entrepreneur, you got to bring in product, you want to get it out to the marketplace. That's going to be a little bit different than what we talk about here, and I will make a video on that. And also on multi-level marketing. That's a different animal as well. All right. Excuse me. Some of the same principles apply, but today we're talking about setting up the structure for your office when you know how to do everything. How do you get that done when you're starting all by yourself? All right, now the first thing that you have to do is you have to set up your minimum standards that are going to be acceptable. As an example, when I was in the insurance business and I was there by myself, just getting started, looking to recruit people, train people, motivate people, get them out in the field, develop them as managers, the first thing that keeps the office going, what pays the bills, is premium. So the first thing we had to decide was, how much minimum premium are we going to develop, are we going to produce in this office week by week by week by week? And of course, as you get more and more people, that number will increase as your people increases, right? But you have to start with what is the minimum expectation. The second thing you do is you set up a structure. You don't wait until you have a qualified leader to do that. This is the biggest mistake that most people make as far as setting up their office. And it's very similar to the success formula. What most people do is they look down the street and they want to see that all of the lights are green before they get into their car and go. Life isn't like that. You can't do that. The thing is, get in your car, turn the key, move forward. When you get to a stop sign, stop. When you get to a yellow light, slow down, at least some of you. All right, when you get to a red light, stop. That's the way success happens. You've got to get to the starting line and you've got to start. The same thing is true when you're starting an office. Now, you're going to have people that come in. You've had somebody come in, answer an ad. You don't know what they know, but you need to start setting up your structure right now. So how do you do that? Well, the first thing you do is you say, I'm going to have to do everything, but I need to start training people to do something. Let me give you an example. When I started these offices from ground zero in Oklahoma and Cincinnati, which is where my company sent me, the first thing we had to do was recruit people to come in. We had an ad in the paper. So I took the one person that was there, sat down with him, and went over how to answer the phone. Seems very simple, right? Don't assume anything. When you do that, you're going to make a mistake. I had a script for him. I drilled, practiced, rehearsed with him. I asked him questions. I role played with him so that I was confident when I was confident that he would be able to effectively answer the phone for people calling in on the ad, that's when I let him do it. That's the point, is you've got to start training immediately. immediately, right? Then when people started coming into the office for interviews, I had him meet and greet. I didn't just say, hey, when these people come in, send them in. I said, let's role play. So I went to the door, I came in, I showed him how to do it. I'm going to go over the step-by-step process that you need to use, but my point is, you have to go over step by step by step by step. You have to role play and you have to observe how they're doing it, and when you're confident that they're doing it right, you move on to the next thing. We're going out into the field. Of course, once again, we said creating premium pays the bills in an insurance office. I took him out in the field with me. I went out myself, he went out with me. He observed, he watched me time after time after time until he became me going out in the field and running business. So this is what you have to do. Do not assume, do not tell somebody, hey, go meet and greet or go answer the phone. You have to sit down and go over with them. What you do is, if you don't have somebody that's quote unquote qualified as a leader right now, very simple. You insert a smiling face in that box. You make a structure. You put yourself at the top. You put down all the different functions that you need your office to perform. Realize that when you're just starting, your name is going to go in each of those boxes along with somebody that you're inserting, that you're training to perform that particular function. All right, so you're there with them. Don't make the mistake of trying to do every single thing yourself. You can't do it. You can't build an organization that way. It's not going to happen. Remember, as an example, if you've seen some of my videos, we talked about Abraham Lincoln being a great leader. What did he do? He needed to find a general to lead the Union Army. Do you know how many generals he went through before he got to Ulysses S. Grant? Close to 10 different generals. He kept inserting a smiling face. That didn't work. Next, new smiling face. Next, all right, he gave the people a chance. He worked with them. They weren't getting the job done. Until you find that person, you've got to keep inserting a new smiling face. And you have to be clear. You have to give what we call CCDD. Clear, concise, definite direction. You can't be general. It's got to be specific. And you have to tell them, look, this is what we expect. And then you have to inspect to see that you're getting what you expect. So you expect to inspect, and then you inspect to make sure that you got what you wanted, what you expected. All right? So I had a big sign in my office that said, expect to inspect, inspect to expect. Both of those functions, okay? You've got to be clear. Now, how do you do that? Okay, once again, keep things simple and let your people know exactly how you're going to do it. Here's what you do. You go to the board and you write the word pesos vertically, P-E-S-O-S, all right? The P stands for prepare. When you prepare, you let the people know this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, all right? Then the E stands for explain or educate, where you go over, this is exactly what we're going to do. This is what we want to get done here, all right? So you explain to them. Then the S, the first S, stands for show, where you actually perform the function yourself and they observe you doing it. Don't ever assume. I keep saying that. Don't ever assume. It's the simplest thing for people to think something different. It happens all the time. It's the biggest cause of mistakes in any office, in any business organization. When the leaders assume that the masses understand what they need to do, or vice versa. All right? You've got to show. Show them how to do it. Show them how to do it. And then role play with them. Let them do it. Then the next step, the O, stands for observe, where you observe them doing it. Watch them, critique them, compliment them. Hey, that was a good job. That was fantastic. That was great. You know what? If you tweak it just a little bit, you're going to be a little bit more effective. Why don't you try it this way? All right? But that was fantastic. Boy, are you making progress. This is great. Prepare, educate, show, observe. The next step is the last S is supervise. What does that mean? That means that you track results. How do you know when it's time to go from the observe stage to the supervisory stage? Well, here's what you know. There's a rule, Pareto's Law, it's called the 80-20 rule. And this is true not only here, but virtually anything in your office. If your people can do the job at least 80% as well as you can do it, delegate it. They don't have to be the same level as you. They don't have to be 100%. Once they're 80% as good as you are, and they do the job as well as you can do it 80%, that's the time you delegate it to them. Let them do it. But you've got to track the results. So once again, you tell them, this is what I expect. We're going to inspect the results to see if you're getting what we want. When they do, everything's fine, everything's great. When they don't, and you're in the supervisory stage, then what do? Very simple. You go back to the observe stage and you watch what they're doing and you figure out what needs to be corrected. Here's what's so great about this system. Number one, it's simple. Number two, it's repeatable. It's teachable and repeatable and duplicatable. The idea that you have in building your office, if you know how to do everything, is to teach the people in your office to do what you already know how to do so that you don't have to do it, so that they do it, so that they grow, so that they advance, so that your office grows bigger and bigger and bigger. Isn't that your objective? All right? And here's the very best part about this. Once I taught this one gentleman that I had how to do the phones, how to go out in the field and write business, how to meet and greet, he was able to effectively teach someone else using the exact same system. So that way, you're building your office, you're starting like a little snowball and you're getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Those are the things that you want to do. Now, so like I say, you want to build your team, you want to duplicate yourself, you want to create new trainers. And most importantly, you want to constantly expect to inspect and inspect to expect. Now, sounds difficult, huh? Well, guess what? It's the same thing as potty training, isn't it? Think about it. You have a child, you have a toddler. You know how to do the function. I'd like to think you know how to do the function. All right, but you need to teach your toddler how to perform, how to get the job done. So what do? All right, you take them into the bathroom and you show them. Okay, this is what I do. First, you pull down your trousers. All right, after you pull down your trousers, okay, you perform the function. You show them how to do it. Then you sit with, of course, first what you do is you explain, this is why we're in here, this is what we're doing, this is what goes on in this room. So, once again, pesos, prepare, okay? Sweetheart, we're going to teach you how to do something very important. Explain or educate. This is what we're going to do. Third, show them how to do it. Then, and this is the most trying part of the potty training, is you observe the toddler performing the function. And what do you do when you're observing and you're constantly giving critique, feedback, positive feedback? Hey, that's a good job. You really pulled down those trousers. Great. Okay. Oh, that's a great job. Perhaps your aim could be just a little bit better. Let's aim a little better. Okay. What do you think? All right. So think about it. It's exactly the same thing. All right. And when your toddler is in a position where they can do it 80% as well as you can, you say to yourself, you swallow, you gulp, and you go, okay, you go in there by yourself and get the job done. All right, and then what do? Well, you've already expect to inspect, okay? So you tell them this is what we expect, then you go in and you inspect. And if you see that things are the way they're supposed to be in that little room, then you're happy, you smile, you give a compliment, a pat on the back, a kiss, whatever it is you do, and a piece of candy in some cases. Bribery works, all right? Anyway, whatever you need to do, let them know, give them positive feedback, and then it becomes a source of pride. Hey, I accomplished this. I'm ready to move on to something bigger. I'm ready to move on to something better. And not only that, if I have a brother or sister, guess what? I'm going to be able to teach them how to do what I just learned how to do. It's not that hard, but boy, I had to go through all these different steps. So you go through the observe stage, you give him a shot, goes in there, he does the job. But you must continue to supervise. So how do you supervise? You go in, you inspect the results. If the results are good, you're happy. If the results are not good, then what do? You go back to the observe stage and you watch and you see where the mess is being made, all right, so that you can fix up the mess. Same thing happens in business, all right? You've already done this. You insert a smiling face. It's the only smiling face you have. you insert a smiling face to get the job done. It's as simple as that. So, excuse me, constantly expect to inspect and inspect to expect. Always be training. Always be training. Just as you are with your toddler, the same thing is true in your business office. Always be training. Now I've got 3 thoughts for the day today, all right? The first one is somebody that's like, well, I don't want to have him do that because, that's an important function, okay? You've got to let go. You've got to give people responsibility. You've got to insert a smiling face. And my thought along those lines are, I keep meaning to potty train my son, but I'm just too busy changing diapers. If you want to be changing diapers your whole life, keep putting it off. Second, some advice on how to do it. And this is from Jamie Glowacki, the author of, and I swear to you this is the name of his book, Oh Crap, Potty Training, Everything Modern Parents Need to Know to Do It Once and Do It Right. And here's the quote: panic, fear, and dread will only put more difficulties in your path. Relaxed is the key. Because you know how to do it, remember, be relaxed when you're teaching somebody. All right? That gives confidence to them. And when you give them a compliment, boy, does that give them confidence. And our third quote comes from Teddy Roosevelt. I think you've heard of him. And this is key. This works in potty training, and most importantly, it works in the office. Do what you can, where you are, with what you have. And once again, that's President Teddy Roosevelt. And because we never end our meeting on a philosophical note, let's get out there and charge! I'm Eli's dad.